Alrighty. So, today I will be talking about sexual responses in the brain regarding fetishes or kinks, however you would like to define that as. And apologies, I can't really get into a room with just like a plain white background because I still can't sit down, so I'm in bed. Sorry about that. I wish it was a little more professional than this, but we'll make do with what we've got for now. So, to begin talking, we will be talking about fetishes and kinks and kind of like what it is, um, kind of just showing some of the common ones and a little bit about those. So to start off, a fetish or a kink is um, something that can be known as something that sexually arouses oneself. And sometimes this can be through, a more unusual method. So for some people, they might have a little bit more of an extreme kink or fetish. Um, I know I saw some pretty crazy ones out there. Uh people that will try and have sex while pregnant, or, there's just like a whole array of things that people are into, and that's just due to their own personal experience. So, but the more common types of fetishes, these would fall under the category of BDSM. So BDSM stands for bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism. Now, the B, or excuse me, the D and the S, those are two things that are actually they've been interpreted as both discipline and sadism, but they've also been determined as dominance or submission. So people who are dominant in bed or submissive in bed, that kind of falls under the category of BDSM. It's just more of those common types of fetishes that some people will have. Now, something that I thought to be interesting was BDSM, they actually have a higher level certain things on the ocean scale, which is the personality theory. Um, there's the things that are higher in is extroversion, conscientiousness, and openness. And then they have lower levels of neuroticism and agreeableness, which kind of makes sense because neuroticism is kind of like an anxiety, like, depression type of thing. And whenever people are comfortable within these BDSM levels, kind of lowers those levels of neuroticism down in that certain category. And the same for agreeableness. It makes it to where um they're more able to kind of go with the flow, kind of just like, you know, it relaxes them in a certain sense. So, question of why do people have and develop fetishes and kinks? It's a pretty important question as well. So, like I had stated, kinks and fetishes, they do scale on a large scale from, a very extreme type of fetish or kink to a very mild one. Again, like, some of the milder ones is just like a submissive, like the BDSM. It's not as um what people would say kinky compared to like, pregnancy sex type of thing. And this scale of how they develop it really just depends on their personal experience in life and their experiences with this person. Um, which kind of leads me to the next point. I'll be talking about Sternberg's triangular theory of love a little bit here because, there's three parts of it. It's the agape, it's the eros, it's the philia. These three parts, the intimacy, passion, commitment, they are really big reasons on why people develop fetishes. It's really just these three pieces are kind of leading towards a trust, a bond that you're connecting with your partner. And through this trust with your partner, that's where some of these fetishes can be explored. It's just opening up a whole world for it. To continue talking about it, um, passion is something that is driven by intimacy. And when it is driven by intimacy, it could be one of the most important pieces to develop trust. Intimacy at the core is really important. In my opinion, it is the most important part. I don't believe that, you should just have this passion or just have a commitment. I think that the intimacy, connected towards the commitment and the passion is very important. And once this couple is comfortable enough with each other, um, something that I actually saw and read was that um, people who explore these fetishes or kinks because of the trust that they developed, it can actually help with aging, interestingly enough. I'm not sure exactly the science on that, but I thought that that was kind of interesting. So it's just really important that two people don't feel judged within a relationship. There should be a level of communication, and if they're not comfortable with something, then they should communicate that. But feeling judged can really break a lot of trust within the relationship, and it can harm a lot of this sexual freedom that they might feel, or they might not be able to explore in the future. So it leads us to our next part, which is talking about environmental factors driving fetishes. So this piece is actually pretty interesting, uh, mainly just because, I mean, there's the three pieces, environmental pieces that I'll talk about here, which is just age, ethnicity, and gender. So, age, something that I saw was that people who are in their, mid 20s to early 30s actually tend to experience uh kinks or fetishes a lot more than earlier and later age groups. I would say that this is probably just because they might feel like they're in a place to explore, especially a lot of people around that age, get married or already married and want to kind of explore that whole marriage, that whole part of it. So the next part is ethnicity, which is also really, really important. So you have a whole mass of ethnicities out there. You have white people, black people, Asian people. You have Latinos, Latinas. I mean, there's just this whole wide variety of people out there who will experience sexual freedom in different ways. Western culture versus Eastern culture is very different when it comes to a worldwide scale. Western, the Europes or the countries in Europe, the countries in North America, these people are going to experience a more free version of sexual desires and fetishes and kinks. There's a more there's an equality between these people, and they feel this freedom um to explore uh compared to like Asian or African American countries, especially Asian. I mean, I know that I'm doing a lot of research right now on China, and due to a religion, Confucianism, uh there is this thought that a lot of women there are supposed to be subservient towards their men, towards their husband. Um, and that means that they aren't going to necessarily have the amount of sexual freedom that someone from America or the UK or Germany, it's people like that that it's just going to be a whole different scale. And it, kind of incorporates the gender part there as well. So the last piece that I wanted to talk about was just kind of a fun fact that I saw, which was explaining feet fetishes. And I'll kind of go through this really quick. Um, but the reason why people have feet fetishes is because there's a part of your brain that actually is sitting right next to um, there's a part of your brain that's kind of like controlling like sexual urges and these impulses. And this part is nestled right next to the part of the brain that manages feet, which is very interesting because these two pieces that are next to each other kind of overlap and they almost communicate with each other. And a lot of people think that that is a reason why people end up with feet fetishes. It's because of these pieces are so close together. So that will be all for the presentation. Go ahead and wrap it up there, but thank you so much for your time and listening for it. And I hope you have a great week, okay?